How many of you have an itch to write music, but find the composing process a frustrating one? Well, I've been playing music for over half of my life, and I've tried many different ways of writing, many of which have led me to unfinished works or just unhappiness with the outcome. So in recent years, I've come up with a way that, at least for me, allows me to get music done quicker and with more satisfaction. It's reminiscent to the late great Bob Ross's approach to creativity, improvisation, and happy accidents. Let's get into it. Alright, before I get this started, I need to get my trusty duo, Super Bread and Jittery Bean Broth. Wait. Okay, in a perfect world, people would just be able to stream their thoughts directly onto their chosen artistic medium. Some people, it seems like, they can just do this. People like Bob Ross, for instance. It seems like when he's painting, it just comes right out. He doesn't have to put a lot of premeditation into it, doesn't have to think a whole lot about it, and just it comes right out naturally. Seamlessly, almost. He's so calm about it, and just kind of, no big deal.
But who knows? I don't try to understand everything in nature. I just look at it and enjoy it.
Well, I've thought a lot about how to achieve this, and unfortunately, a lot of skills we can hone and sharpen, but a lot, we just have or don't. Now myself, I don't have the ability to streamline my thoughts directly onto paper or through my instrument, but I do have the work ethic to bring about at least a lopsided form of what I wanted in the first place, and sometimes it comes out different than what I wanted, but maybe, surprisingly different. Somewhat of a happy accident, I guess.
I think in one of the earlier shows I mentioned, we don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
Okay, let's get into how this works. So first, it's very simple. We don't need to make things super complicated. We can always do that later. 2, you do not need to know music theory for this. This is an exercise based on arbitrary choices and the mind's ear. Okay? In essence, happy accidents and improvisation. Let's get into what's going to be happening on the guitar here. So, first we need to just choose a bass note. Any note's fine. I'm just going to choose D. I'm going to make it simple, line up with the fret markers, be easy, alright? So, I'm going to choose D here. It's the 5th fret on the A string. The next thing we need to do is just choose any melody note. It doesn't matter. We're not choosing based on some type of purpose or something that I'm even looking for. We're just looking for random notes. Just choose them. And the melody note can be any note higher than the bass note. Alright, any note. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just going to start with one. So I'm just going to choose, I got the D, and then I'm going to choose this one right here. So this is the major third, but whatever. Doesn't even matter, right? It just matters about sound. So, alright, so now we've got our choices made. Now, everything's going to be based on what we hear in our heads. And it's going to require singing, and I know a lot of us aren't singers. I'll tell you that I'm not. Georgia! Georgia! The whole day for babe! Just So, I'm just going to hear these together, and then I'm going to hear just the melody note, and I'm going to just make up some melody in my mind. And I'm going to sing either one note or 2 more notes. Okay, so and that's what we have at the beginning. It already sounds nice, right? So we just continue with the melody. This is how we're going to do everything, right? Just making up something, I'm trying to think of something. Oh, ah, 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 na, 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 da, de, da, de, da, ah, na, na, da, okay, de, da. Okay, so da, na, na, na. The next note that I heard in my head is actually the same note that I ended on the last part. Ah, dee, doo, da, like so. It sounds kind of boring, I guess, you know. This is where we start to change things around. It sounds kind of boring if I'm using the note D, the same bass note up here, the whole time, especially if the next note is on the same note. Ah, dee, da, da, dee, doo, da. We want to make that more interesting. So now we have to do the reverse of what we did before. So we had the bass note solidified, and we're just going to add random melody notes. Well, not random, I guess they're made up in our minds. But then after that, we're going to add random bass notes to our melody that we now have. I'm just going to choose random bass notes, and honestly, this is where the happy accidents part starts to happen, because the harmony between your bass note and your melody note can be vastly different and create way different sounds. It doesn't matter if you know what they mean theoretically, but they will sound awesome sometimes and sometimes not, but you'll be able to find that by trial and error. So that sounded cool, right? I kept the same melody that I made, but I added this bass note, which is the note C. It's just 2 steps down from the initial bass note. But I'm going to choose a different one to see what that sounds like, okay? Alright, that sounds nice too. So you're going to find a lot of cool options. Honestly, I think the first one that I used, the C bass note, I think it's honestly, it's kind of more beautiful in a way. But when I chose the second bass note that I chose, it's 2 steps up from D, and that's E. And I felt like that one wasn't as beautiful as the C bass note, but it definitely wanted to go somewhere else. That's where this inspiration starts rolling along, right? Because when I hear this, I feel very settled musically in place. I feel like I could just bounce back between these 2 chords for a long time doing just that melody. Ah, dee, da, ah, dee, do, da, ooh, hee, hoo, ah, dee, dee, dee. I mean, you can just really go on forever with this. You can solidify an idea and be like, this is an idea, and then move on to another one. You can make your idea as long as you want. Honestly, if you just keep seeing little snippets of melody, just, you know, solidify a few notes here and be like, I really like these. Choose one of the random bass notes that you really like, keep that, and then go to the next little bitty chunk, and you will end up with something really pretty. Like when I went to that E note, I felt like it kind of made me want to go somewhere. And sometimes you won't hear just the melody going somewhere. Sometimes you'll make something, and, you know, based on the melody, and then you'll play a bass note, and then you might imagine a bass line kind of walking, or just some kind of moving up or moving down. When I heard that E earlier, I had this building feeling. Or something like that, whatever. Just like, you know, let your mind ramble. Like the Led Zeppelin song, Ramble On. I mean, he meant it. That's probably how they made a lot of their music, right? They probably didn't make it like this. It was in a group and they just write, you know, whatever. But I find that you can really put some time into this and get quick results. I think when you put time into this, you get a lot of results, and you might get a pretty good little distance on a song. So let's just talk about one more thing that that can make you solidify this a little bit more. One, you got to keep using your voice, right? Especially at this point, what I'm about to show you, because we're going to turn these melody notes into chords, right? If you know music theory or whatever, you know, you're versed in this stuff, then you'll probably be able to just like, oh yeah, I can play this, this, and this. You understand what you can play. But if you don't, it doesn't matter, because you can still use the same process that we've been using the whole time of just adding additional notes to create more harmonies. So if we start out with these notes, this is where we're going to have to use our voice. So we're going to play a full chord, so we're not going to be able to play the melody with it. Alright, let's try just a regular D major. So if we start on D, we can play a D major right here. But obviously most of you are going to definitely know this D major right here. But here's the same thing. Alright. Ah, da, da, ah, da, da, dee, dee, da, da, dee. That's a C, we can put a C there. Ah, da, da, ya, da, da, da. Let's just say that's what it's going to be, right? So we got D. I'm going to make it a D major 7 this time, just to see what it sounds like. Ooh, doo, doo, ah, da, doo, da. Ooh, ooh. And that's with 2 major 7 chords. I think it sounds pretty damn good, right? I like it. Let's do major 6/9 chords. Ah, ah, ooh, doo, doo, da. Ah, ah, dee, dee, dee. I'll do it with the open chords. Ah, da, da, ya, da, dee, da. Ooh, dee, da, doo, da, dee, dee, dee. Ooh, doo, da, ha, dee, dee, da. A few of the things that I used to do in my younger years is, you know, either get on the fretboard and just start just shredding bullcrap, you know, and not really knowing what I'm doing. I'm letting my fingers run. I don't really like doing that. I used to love doing that, which is why I probably didn't get very much music done. But also another thing that I you know, everyone goes through is like you might come up with a cool melody on the guitar, but you don't really know how to add chords to it. Or if you come up with chords and you're like, you know, what am I going to do with this melody? So I'd be stuck with either a chord progression or I'd be stuck with a melody and not really know what to do with either of them. But in this case, this method kind of gives you both at the same time. It gives you a bass note to work off of. It gives you a melody that you're creating by ear, which is great, by the way, because ear training is the biggest thing, and it's the most important thing for musicians. You know, transcribing music by ear, just whatever, by ear. It's fantastic. So if you're not familiar with other parts of the fretboard, this is going to get you there, and then you'll also be able to sing what you're playing. Therefore, you're going to be more connected to how to make melodies on the guitar and where the notes are and what they sound like when you play them in whatever order. So now I'm going to take this idea and I'm going to take the few things that we did today, the D note with the other melody note and the little melody we came up with, and I'm going to spend about 20 or 30 minutes just trying to come up with something that's nice. And then I'm going to fit it in, write it down, do a little song with it, and we'll see what we get. Alright, thanks everybody for watching the video. I really appreciate it. I hope that you found something of value in this. There's many ways to write music out of there. This is just one. Please go and explore many more. If you have any questions or comments concerning the video, anything in the video, please comment down below or send me a personal message. And also, please subscribe to the channel for updates on upcoming videos. Until next time, folks.